Hello everybody and welcome back to Pravus Gaming and more Hearts of Iron 4 Red World, playing as the American People's Commonwealth. You can't really see them, but they're up here somewhere. So the alternate history equivalent of 9/11 just occurred on American soil. We don't know who's the perpetrator yet, but we're going to find out. World leaders called the president, heads of state, and heads of government from around the world have reached out to, I guess, President Chomsky. Even Donald Rumsfeld briefly spoke with one of his nemesis, while Warsaw Pact leaders and Chairman Gennady Zyuganov refused to acknowledge that this was a tragedy. Really? The USSR is going to be such a jerk that they're not even going to say their condolences for the terrorist attack. They hate us. Oh, that sucks. Okay, so a lot of stuff going on here. I'm not going to read through all of it. Thousands of volunteers in New York. Courageous volunteers from all walks of life have arrived to a city that never sleeps to help with the recovery effort in Manhattan. Okay. International airports close indefinitely. We are now completely isolated. Traveling to New York, Chomsky was advised that another attack could occur soon if large planes continued operations throughout the weeks following this horrific attack, so we've shut everything down and lose political power. Chomsky meets emergency services. While President Chomsky was in hiding during the attack, it didn't take long for him to convince his chief of staff and military leaders that he should return to address his shattered Commonwealth. Okay, the bravest deserve recognition. Well, you know what? Considering Governor Bernie Sanders of Vermont just led such a very successful, I will say, very successful attack against terrorists, maybe we should be looking to get him in charge so that he can also hunt down the terrorists, because he's going to be tough on crime. Pray for New York. So 5-1 has occurred, gains a united Commonwealth, which grants stability, political power, division recovery rate for 40 days. It's not a lot, but we do get some political power out of that. Flags raised from half-mast. All right, let's begin prayers for New York. What do we need? Well, we do have a lot of things that we could be using. I'm going to go ahead and start producing some level of fighters. Not many, just a little bit, so I can start building up an air force. All right, prayer for New York is actually already done. Oh, I didn't even need to do that. Is that John Kerry? Is it? I don't know. Initially a decree that was swiftly passed by the Central Committee, all national and state flags were to be lowered to half-mast after May's tragic terrorist attack. Since then, our nation has gone through a time of unity, mourning, and combined perseverance, as the odds seem impossible stacked against us. Nevertheless, the time must eventually come to end the grieving process and start moving onwards, with the first step in that initiative being raising all half flags from half-mast. It's been 2 days! Only 2 days and we're moving on! Oh, he cried. Citizens of our Commonwealth are free to maintain their patriotic decorations at half-mast, but government institutions, landmarks, and anything else associated with the nation's inner workings must raise the flags. It will show to the world that we have managed to come out of 5-1 stronger than ever. Oh, BKB. Don't think I agree with that. Gennady Zyuganov says we had it coming. What a jerk. In a glorified press conference at the Kremlin, chairman of the Soviet Union, Gennady Zyuganov, himself stated that the Commonwealth had it coming, failing to label this as a terrorist attack. Instead, he declared that May's Day tragedy was proof that our failure, and more than likely an act perpetrated by communist freedom fighters. After this relatively brief statement to eager state-controlled journalists, the chairman returned to his grand office as if nothing had happened. While this statement was surely meant to divide our nation, it has clearly united us even further. Now it is clear that the Commonwealth still has a common enemy, and the Soviet establishment leadership simply does not care about our plight in the face of such horrific violence. What a bastard. The President's speech. The essence of humanity in this testing world is not how we do battle or how we bring the fight to our bitter enemies. Because by bringing violence and horror to our enemies doesn't elevate us, it demeans us. It brings us lower than anyone on this blue marble. The earth, got it. And yet we would still choose to stand upon a pedestal and claim this Commonwealth and its followers are supreme above all. No, that is not the essence of humanity. I believe, and I know so many of those living in fear of multiple creeping specters of the Atlantic or from our southern borders believe, that the foundation of humanity is the ability to rise up from the ashes, to rise up from the bitterness and hatred of our enemies, not with spears, but with the arsenal of freedom, of the knowledge that we are the humane. They are the inhuman, and they are the demons ready to slaughter thousands in the name of their wicked leader and a wicked system. Standing upon this podium in a city struck by tragedy, I realize what the great poets of years gone by knew about our world, and I realize that our rise is not unlike the poetic justice of anything written about basic humanity in testing times. Today, I remember Tennyson's Ulysses, And to all Americans from the East Coast to West Coast, I shall speak it not from my heart, but from the heart of millions. We are not now that strength, which in old days moved earth and heaven. That which we are. One equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. I have no idea what this means. I can't tell if he's trying to be all like, we're not going to be demeaning, or is he like, nope, they're demons, they're an evil empire, it's time to rally. I don't know. Commonwealth rallies behind New York. President Chomsky's deeply moving speech in New York City's City Hall chambers have resonated throughout the American populace, alongside the council's televised minutes-long standing ovation for the commander-in-chief. Okay, apparently it was popular, whatever it was. According to official reports from several departments, thousands are still flocking to New York in an effort to volunteer and help their fellow human beings, and they have only been re-energized by this amazing address. Posters with the closing lines, Tennyson's Ulysses, are being printed not just by government organizations but also private citizens, who have taken them as inspirational, quote, to unite an only recently bonding American populace. For now, the Commonwealth has rallied behind New York in an unprecedented wave of compassion. Wonderful stuff. Gain a little bit more base stability. All right, national focus. So, what do we want to do? So, we could begin an investigation, become more communist and nationalistic, question the president, or form intelligence committees. We shall rebuild. This leads to the impeachment of President Chomsky. And then you can either have a civil war, or we can end the civil war? Why are these both here as if they're not incompatible? I don't really know. Desperate times. Trying to get a sense of what direction these go. Empower the new president, I guess. Political reconciliation. Moderate socialism, communism. Condemn the Soviet order. Mutual respect. United American Commonwealth. Interesting. Okay. State becomes cores. We can integrate a bunch of stuff. Yeah. If we impeach President Chomsky, do we get to decide who the new president is? I don't know. Then there's the American Peace Act. Crackdown on committee rebellion. So I think this is ultimately going to be restructuring and supporting Chomsky and making him stronger. Dissolve the Central Committee. Yeah, Chomsky basically takes over. Straight up. That doesn't seem very fun. Is there a way for us to get to things like this without going down this route? No. Okay, so the alternative then is to fire the New York governor. Moderate socialist becomes more powerful. Threaten the old guard. Bernie's speech, revolutionary socialists go down. Rallying support for democracy. Meet with conservatives. Centrist nationalist. New England Trade Council. Influence of Boston. Democrats. This is going to just change everything. Meet with communists. All the popularity shifts like a lot. So basically, revolutionary socialism like starts to degrade, and a whole bunch of different ideologies start to become a little bit more powerful. Bernie Sanders resigns as governor. Sanders in the committee. Exploit factional divide. Support from workers. Create the Socialist Party. New Boston members. Internal support. Small donations. So we can become moderate socialist, basically. And then prepare for the inauguration. The IWWM becomes the ruling party. Elections will be managed via custom events. Huh. Okay. Again, though, like that sounds great and all. Does that lead toward the ability to conquer things? Because I kind of want to conquer things. Maybe we should go down the investigation route. Because this looks like it's actually a better focus tree to me. Still, I did kind of say we were going to go down a Bernie route, didn't I? Maybe if we do that, and Bernie Sanders becomes president, yeah, there it is. That'll lead to some new options over here. Unification Council, protect American workers. I don't know. I don't know. All right. We're going to go down the Bernie route. Fire the New York governor. New York's incompetent governor failed to stop the terrorist attacks in his biggest city. Chomsky should order local trade councils and other political entities to remove him from office as soon as possible. All right, I have no idea if this is going to be the best one. We're going to go for it. The Gates Declaration. Until now, the Technology Council's reclusive chief, Bill Gates, has remained on the sidelines, preferring to remain apolitical in almost every situation, even when terrorist attacks occur. But it seems Mayday has struck a chord with the once enemy of the state and abductee of a more aggressive council in the past. In the nationally televised address from his home in Manhattan, Gates declared the time has come for new leadership in the Commonwealth, whether it come from President Chomsky's removal or the rejuvenation and restructuring of the Central Committee. He himself stated that this is certainly not an endorsement of either faction within Philadelphia's government, but instead a declaration of solidarity with the American people, not their appointed and elected officials. The aptly named Gates Declaration has divided many on two sides of supporting Philadelphia's establishment and a rapidly growing grassroots opposition. Revolutionary socialists lose a little bit of influence there. Okay, that sucks because it means that my stability goes down, but okay. The Central Committee blames Chomsky. As part of their emergency convention just days after the May Day attack, Philadelphia's Central Committee has already blamed Noam Chomsky for his unimaginable declaration of war. They have also claimed that the evidence supporting a far-right attack on our nation is clear, continuing to point out how the president has failed to formulate a response to celebrations in the American Republic. While many have supported the statements from Philadelphia and called for Chomsky to resign, there is also overwhelming approval for the president flowing in from his inspiring speech in New York and the effort he went through to directly meet those affected by the tragedy. Only 5 members of the committee have even traveled to New York. Okay, so basically the committee is becoming unpopular. The Arab Islamic generals have resigned. Okay, stuff happening somewhere else in the world. Don't think I can be bothered. Chomsky returns to Philadelphia. The president has returned to Philadelphia to address an emergency session of his rebellious Central Committee. In the past few days, members have blasted Chomsky for supposed neglect of intelligence services and security in major cities, a major cause for the NEC terror attack. However, fiery rhetoric from seats who also met by a surprisingly ferocious speech from aging anarcho-syndicalists. While he was... Is that what Chomsky was? Was he an aging anarcho-syndicalist? While he was certainly bitter at blatant dissent from the New Guard faction within his supposedly loyal chamber, no one expected such a wave of anger and blame coming from Chomsky's mouth. Reversing their calls for his impeachment, the president stated that the committee before him had failed America's people by purposely continuing a disastrous political deadlock. He also noted that hardly any of them had come to New York to either simply pay their respects or help as volunteers like thousands of other Americans. It was at this point when temporary CC member and permanent Technology Council advisor John Holdren, standing in for a bedridden politician, shot up and screamed obscenities at Chomsky, labeling him a moronic anti-American preacher straight from the depths of hell. Holdren was subsequently removed from the chamber, and Chomsky continued with his now more subdued speech. There was no standing ovation this time. Not even tragedy can unite our politicians. Don't that just sound like America? Yes, it does. Modern assembly line is done. Okay. New York governor... it's Bill de Blasio. Oh, got it. Okay, returns from vacation. We're about to fire him. Has returned from the vacation in Bhutan, much to the anger of his constituents. According to the eminent politician and one of the only neutral leaders between Old Guard and New Guard factions, circumstances within the small Himalayan nation meant he heard about Mayday's tragedy an unfortunate number of days after it occurred. Of course, this could be true, but many have said Blasio's vacation was to the capital of Thimphu, a region certainly not off the grid. This friction between different accounts and truth and falsity has put the governor in a precarious position. Journalists within New York have been ordered to spin his late return into a positive light and enforce Blasio's statements. But questions surrounding the legitimacy of those claims will certainly cause great distress for aforementioned journalists. Whether they toe the line or not, it's clear New York is extremely bitter about their supposed representative relaxing under the snow-capped peaks, while his largest city mourns for thousands of deaths. Perhaps he will resign. Perhaps I'll frickin' fire him is what's going to happen. Alright, factory output and stuff seems good and all, but we should go for something else. Do we not have access to nukes? Yeah, we don't have access to nukes and rockets and stuff, despite it being 2010. We don't have the support for really a lot of other stuff, unfortunately. Could research some new ships and stuff. What is this? Modern communication system reinforcement rate. Oh, right, for signal companies and stuff. Got it. Let's go ahead and research the modern equipment. That looks like, is Is that an M4? I think that's actually an M16. Go ahead and pick that one up. I can never tell. It may be actually an M4 with is that a bayonet? Maybe. Journalists resign. Prominent and low-level journalists within New York state media have simultaneously resigned from their positions this morning, refusing to defend Governor de Blasio's vacation and apparent fabrication of what really happened in Bhutan. In a joint statement that was cut from the air before they could finish, the rebellious group claimed that censorship had gone too far and a new media bill had to be introduced that would enforce greater freedom of the press. In turn, they effectively endorsed President Chomsky's plans for restructuring freedom of speech, association, and demonstration, and something that he hasn't been able to pass through the most almost totalitarian Central Committee. So basically, we're an oligarchic republic of sorts, aren't we? The governor is reportedly furious at this subordination, but many Americans have taken the side of these journalists, demanding an end to injustices in the media. It's likely that this series of events will draw de Blasio closer to the New Guard's faction, unless he resigns in the coming days and weeks. I'm working on it. Freaking working on it. He's not going to last long. He'll be gone in the next couple of weeks. Definitely. Tunisia declares independence from Gaddafi. Really? Sure enough, there they are. Huh. Okay, that's fun. What is Italy, by the way? They're communists. Just kind of curious what else is going on over here. Far-right underground claims responsibility. Uh-oh. A previously unheard-of far-right underground group in the Illinois and Indiana regions has claimed responsibility for May Day. The White American Liberation Front, an apparently white supremacist radical group aimed at overthrowing Philadelphia's socialist government and Atlanta's Democratic administration, so they don't like these guys down here either, the American Republic, proclaiming a new beginning for the Commonwealth. According to their masked leader, May Day's tragedy was just the beginning of serious attacks against our people, and they would never stop until the reign was over. Intelligence agencies are scrambling to uncover more details about this group, but so far efforts have proven fruitless. However, it is becoming increasingly clear that they have direct connections to the Vermont insurgency that ended earlier this year. This suspicion led to Governor Bernie Sanders publicly declaring that he will work with Philadelphia in any way that will result in the destruction of this repulsive organization. This is surprising coming out of one of the most moderate and anti-authoritarian governors in America and unofficial leader of the direct democracy movement. What do we expect? Oh, we can become direct Democrats? That'd be interesting. Central Committee building receives a bomb threat. Reports are just coming in now. I'm going to lose my voice by the end of this, no doubt about it. From the nation's capital indicating that the Central Committee building has received a bomb threat to the same group claimed responsible for May Day. Police are taking no precautions in an event like this, with members inside immediately evacuated. They're taking no precautions? Or they're pulling no stops at precautions? I don't know. And staff quickly following. However, either terrorists threatening to destroy the heart of America's government canceled their plans, or it was simply a way to incite terror. Whether a real threat are present today or not, we can be certain that those members were frightened their lives could be taken away in an instant by people they'd never seen before. Terrorism scares everyone. Yep, no doubt. Hijacked plane crashes, and the Libya Union declared a war on the National Salvation Government somewhere. Flight 170 from Chicago to Columbus had just separated from Martin Luther King Jr. Airport when right-wing Christian fundamentalists, tell you what, there's nothing Christian about something like that, seized control from an unexpected pilot and cabin crew. Less than 2 minutes later, their jet crashed on the outskirts of Chicago and almost immediately exploded in a ball of flames. Okay, so he's already on his way to Chicago, so we have yet another terrorist attack going on. Yeah, things are not looking great in the Commonwealth. This is a very rough time right now. General Haftar revolts, stuff's happening in Libya. Okay, there's full-on civil war going on over here. Like, legit, there's a it's a four-front war. Salvation, Free Army, Tunisia. Actually, are they at war? No, Tunisia just broke out, but they're not actually at war with anybody. No one actually fought back against them. Okay, it's probably fine. Benghazi Islamists revolt. There's another one, the Islamic State of Libya. Okay, we have, I guess, a different kind of ISIL. Fire the New York governor is gone. Exercising his extraordinary powers as president of the American People's Commonwealth, Noam Chomsky has suddenly fired New York Governor Bill de Blasio after extensive consultation with trade councils and representatives from the state itself. This comes as criticisms of the governor mounted after his extended vacation, which many say was a waste of taxpayers' money and delayed a united response to May Day's attack. With a furious governor removed from his once secure office, the New York Trade Council's representatives, with one seat in every national representative body, must appoint a successor. In most states, where the incumbent leader is only removed from office when their term expires and not due to a scandal, a successor has already been pre-selected by the governor themselves. But because de Blasio is hardly far into his term, it is up to this convention of trade council members to decide who takes charge of the most powerful state. Okay, so de Blasio's gone. I guess we now have to threaten the old guard and try to get some more political power to reform the government. Libyan communist revolt? Okay, so now there's another one. My god, is this like a 6-way war? Holy crud. They're going frickin' everywhere. They're all declaring war on each other. There's a Libyan syndicalist revolt, too. Army of combined syndicates. Holy crud. Jeez, can you possibly contain this anymore in a tiny little place? Jeezums. Ethiopia's requesting aid. Nah. Nah, I don't think so. I don't think so, and I don't care. We no longer get the effects of a united Commonwealth. Well, dang. All right, what else should we be producing right now? Let's go ahead and start producing some motorized. Just, you know, get a few supplies, a few things going. You never know when we're going to need any of that. Okay, threatening the old guard. So that'll give me some political power. I'm only getting 0.46 per day right now because the political deadlock is just terrible. Freaking heck, how do I get rid of this? This is just terrible. Western corruption. Actually pretty good for civilian construction speed. Fascinating. Appalling recognition? Appalling recognition. What does that do? There's building the wall still. Standing firm. All right. Free military factories. Oh, good. We have another one. Let's go ahead and start building some main battle tanks, since it kind of looked to me like there may not actually be like normal medium tanks and stuff. New operating system. The Technology Council has just announced development of a new operating system for the Commonwealth, which will go hand in hand with recently unveiled plans for a personal computer to fit the modern age. You know, it's interesting. This is all happening a little late. It's almost as if we were more advanced under the capitalistic America in 2010 than we are in this alternate history, because we're only just now getting frickin' Windows. For years, our nation has been leading computer technology advancement around the world, simply due to the work of one New York-based trade council working tirelessly every day to bring our people the best they can deliver. The new and improved operating system, a significant upgrade from 2007's installment, will be rolled out in the coming weeks to each Commonwealth state and remains free of charge, as always. Oh, good. Oh, good. Operating systems for your computer are basically a public good. Refugees arrive in Sicily from Libya and Tunisia. Oh, BKB. Fun stuff. I'm not going to worry about any of these national histories right now. I mean, this is really cool, don't get me wrong. But we're already not making like a lot of progress in this mod. It's taking so long to do anything. We're still only a few months in. Not even 1 year's gone by. I have only just now gotten basic construction tools, dang it. All right, so we're already working on that. Let's go ahead and start producing, not that. Let's go ahead and start producing some slightly better fighters so I can have the best kinds available. So 2010, because air support might actually end up making a really big difference since I don't really have the manpower for much else. Trade council members are stealing state funds. Oh, gosh, dang these stupid trade councils. An extensive investigation sponsored by the Central Committee has caught members of the North... You know, I thought the Central Committee were the bad guys, but now they're finding other bad guys. Turns out no one's innocent in this country. Has caught members of the Northeast-based Agricultural Council stealing state funds intended for investment. We are currently unaware as to how much the taxpayers' money has been taken over the years, but for now the investigation has concluded that there are millions of dollars that could have been properly invested into the Commonwealth's agricultural sector. Prominent members of the National Council were quick to note that after these discoveries were released to the public, that it was only a select few within their clique that are guilty of embezzlement. Whether this is true or not will surely be uncovered by the appropriate authorities, but the Agricultural Council's legitimacy has certainly been placed into question. Currently the people are asking, where did the money go? I don't know. Private jets and whatnot? Apparently income inequality is still a problem out here, right? I don't know. Okay, American revolutionary socialism was born in the collapse of the United States when several communists and far-left activists pushed for an anti-Soviet revolution. This form of socialism asserts that an almost total state economy and limited political freedoms are vital to the progress of the state. Oh, so we're actually kind of dictatorship that way. Yeah, we really are socialistic oligarchs, aren't we? Interesting. Threaten the old guard is done. All right, now Bernie Sanders gets to have a speech, which reduces the popularity of revolutionary socialism even further. All right, so what do I want to do next? Do we want to continue with possibly changing up our economy law? Kinda. I mean, reducing military goods even further is nice. Okay. Alternatively, we can get that manpower going. We don't have any right now. Factory output goes up. Interesting. As we conscript people, we start forcing them into factories? No, I'm sorry. Volunteer only has higher factory output. We're reducing it. Oh, interesting. So that's actually the trade-off then. As you start getting more and more people into the military, there's less to work the factory, so you don't necessarily always want to go very far. See, this is one of the things that I kind of like about some of these mods. We saw it in Equestria at War at the same time. Like, there's downsides to going too far down this tree. You don't necessarily want to jump to things like war economy and whatnot. Although, actually, in this case, it looks to me like war economy is actually really quite good for us here. But anyway, point is, that's interesting. So what kind of a... I mean, we could go for different ministers and stuff. I mean, it would be very tempting for me, honestly, to go for somebody that can get me some extra political power, because I just don't have enough. I really don't. Second in command. But that might change. It might change depending on who becomes the president. Political power gain 15%. 0.15, I assume, multiplied by a base of 2 is actually 0.3 political power per day, so that's just straight up better than Benjamin Pander. Or Pender. Stability. Just looking at some options here, I'm curious. Because more political power would be very good. This is 0.25, which seems really good. But again, if you're looking for political power, I think that the silent workhorse is still better. A union boss? Okay. Corporate suit, religious leader. Interesting. Foreign minister. It's not quite as good. I think we may want to go for the workhorse, believe it or not. Just because I'm really not gaining much political power at all right now. I need as much as I can get. Let's grab Wade Walker and add him in. So now we have 0.67 per day. That doesn't feel like much of an improvement. Is it not 15%? Of 2? Because that should have been 0.3, but I think we were at 0.49 before? Or is it just 0.4? Alright. The British Prime Minister has been assassinated. David Owen is dead, and his deputy, Shirley Williams, were also dead. Okay? No, maybe not. Hang on. Shirley Williams is not dead. She's now in charge. Owen lay motionless at her feet. Okay. I'm not trying to read too much of this because, my gosh, there's just so much going on, but still. That's kind of interesting. New tech that I should work on. We could work on some drones, I guess. Maybe some anti-air or anti-tank. Do I think that these guys are going to have tanks? Not particularly. I'm not sure I need anti-tank right now. Let's go ahead and start working on some drones so we can take advantage of air superiority if we do actually get it. I have another factory available. All right. What do I currently have a fair bit of? Infantry equipment. I feel like I could use a bit more artillery. So let's go ahead and work a little bit more on that. Because I would like to actually have proper attack divisions. We haven't even looked at this stuff yet, but I don't have any army experience, so it doesn't matter. So this is just generic infantry here. Does take some support artillery. Only 24 each. Motorized divisions also... Actually, these do not have artillery. Armored divisions. Double engineer companies? That's an option? And your organization is crap. You know something? Forget this. I think we're actually okay on artillery. Let's work on... You know what? Let's just go ahead and work on the anti-tank. Let's just go ahead and do it. I wouldn't mind getting some piercing value just in case. I have no intelligence. I have no idea what's going on down here with the American Republic. I imagine they're going to end up being my first target. And then as we try to reunite America, we're probably going to go to odds against the UAPR, and that's going to get us fighting the evil Soviet Union, who we clearly do not like at this point. How many troops you got? Not many, surprisingly. Like, not a lot of people actually seem to have a lot of troops. Like, Mexico is almost as strong as the Soviets. Huh. Lula Silla has been banned. Pittsburgh radio host Lula Silla has been banned by the governor of Pennsylvania for encouraging disharmony. Various state administrations, criticisms, blah, 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 undisclosed reasons, pro-terrorist activities. That mini Trotsky will be silenced. Okay, I guess she's a bit of a rabble-rouser? Okay, hang on. So we got Bernie's speech. Let's see. Debate begins in Pennsylvania. 2 days after the banning of Lula Silla from the activities on the airwaves, a fresh debate has begun. Full authoritarian potential of each state government, forgotten for many years as no entertainers or political activists have dared to insult leaders since a harsh crackdown in Ohio gave birth to stronger regulations of every Commonwealth state. So I guess this is kind of becoming a free speech question. Governors could shut down pro-Central Committee sentiment within their own states. So basically the governors are now at odds against the Central Committee. Bernie's speech. Amos 5:24. But let justice roll on like a river. Righteousness like a never-failing stream. Justice treating others the way we want to be treated. Treating all people, no matter their race, their color, their stature in life, with respect and with dignity. Now here is my point. Amos, huh? I don't usually hear that quote, actually. Okay. Bernie Sanders is doing this. Some of you may agree with me, and some of you may not. I'm not gonna keep doing that, but you get my point. But in my view, it would be hard for anyone in this room today to make the case that the American People's Commonwealth, a country that all of us love, that we are a just society, or anything resembling a just society today. In the Commonwealth today, there is massive injustice in every sense of the word. It is rampant. We live, and I hope all of you know this, in the wealthiest country in the American continent. But most Americans don't know that, because almost all of the wealth and income is going to the elites in Philadelphia, New York, Chicago, and every single trade council that leeches off our citizens. Now that's the truth. Man, even in the alternate history, he's got the same message here. We're living at a time where a handful of people have political power behind comprehension, beyond comprehension, giving them the ability to maintain tyrannical control over every aspect of our society for the rest of the Commonwealth's history. But at the very same moment, there are millions of people who are struggling to feed their families. They are struggling to put a roof over their heads. They are struggling to find a place in our beautiful Commonwealth. And yet, with all that power concentrated in each metropolis, the elites do nothing. This is why, as a united American populace, we must begin the new political revolution. Excellent closing lines. Man, except in this case, like, everything I've seen says we actually do have a straight-up authoritarian oligarchy. So he's totally got a point in this case. In this alternate history, I probably would be a Bernie, bro. Rallying support. Drift to moderate socialism. Daily political power gain. Division recovery rate. That's going to hurt. New England trade councils. Research time. Civilian factory construction speed. Division training time. That's helpful. Influence of Boston. Free civilian factories. Push for greater freedoms. Change in popularity. Vermont resignation. Bernie Sanders resigns as governor. Okay. Meet with the communists. Sanders in the committee. Okay, what's gonna be best? Let's start with the trade councils for the research time. But we obviously have to end up doing all of those if we're gonna get Bernie Sanders ascending to power. Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Okay, well, we're gonna end this video here. There's a lot more that I need to do, but the sooner we can end this freaking deadlock, the better. And then I can become a warmonger and start trying to conquer the rest of the United States and reunite everybody under my rule. Because freaking heck, they all need to be under my Commonwealth. The new Commonwealth. Bernie's vision of a Commonwealth. It's going to be amazing. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If so, then I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.